This is Will from Psalm, and you're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
And we're back with a brand spanking new episode. That's right, tonight. Now, we've been working on this one for a while. You're in for a wild ride. Tonight, we have the one, the only, Simon Brody of Drowningman. It was an excellent conversation. There's a lot of great stories in this one, so strap in. You're in for a wild ride.
He's an he's an interesting character. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. Like, he's a really heartfelt and clearly kind person, but it's been a wild ride. It's been
yeah, we won't give away too much. Let me just say this. Drowningman are not only an excellent band, but I would say almost conceptual and comedic geniuses as well.
Yeah, he gets into a couple things that I go, there is one point in this that I don't know how Keith is going to edit it, because I was laughing so hard, I had tears streaming down my face. And it was...
I know the part you're talking about.
It's literally a one-word answer. And it was just like the most perfectly timed thing. It was something out of a movie. And the fucking way he answered it was just so deadpan and like... I don't know why it hit me so hard, but I was laughing so unbelievably. My stomach hurt after that episode. So phenomenal. Just, he's a great guest and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, you're going to love it. So get ready for that. And folks, a few quick reminders. Follow us on everything. Twitch.tv/The New Scene. Instagram and Twitter, New Scene Pod. Facebook, The New Scene. YouTube, The New Scene, and subscribe to us on YouTube, please. Oh, and write to us at newscenepod@iodinerecords.com. We would like to hear from more of you. We want to know how we're doing. We want to know how you're doing. So feel free to reach out. And we need more Apple Podcast reviews. If you like the show, give us 5 stars, write a nice review. We'll read it on the air. There you go. And of course, support Iodine Recordings, our sponsor. Check them out at iodinerecords.com. They've got a lot of great bands. They've got a lot of great stuff. Boom. Done. Simple. All right. So we have some breaking scene news. It seems like Every Time I Die is done. Jordan Buckley from Every Time I Die has posted the following statement. Andy, Jordan, Steve, and Goose's last show with Every Time I Die was on December 11th, 2021. While we hope to come to an agreed-upon legal statement that outlined the truth, we were informed today of something planned to be released, not mutually agreed upon, that consists of inaccuracies and controls a narrative to benefit one. There has been no direct communication with Keith because it's either impossible for direct communication with him solely, or we've been cut off to any and all communication by him himself. Now, this sounds like, what is this thing that's being released? It sounds like maybe Keith is releasing a statement that they don't all agree with, and so they're quitting the band. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what I got from it as well. Basically, what I'm hearing is Keith was going to release something. It had a whole bunch of stuff in there that they think is not true and tried to back up his side of the story. They have not spoken with him, but they're saying that holiday show that they played December 11th is that would be the last Every Time I Die show ever.
Wow.
That's brutal.
Wow. Yeah. So the statement ends, we wouldn't be where we are today without every single person that's backed the band in any and all ways. While we're extremely disappointed in how this was played out online in front of you, your support and the memories we have because of you all will always be cherished. See you soon. Forever and grateful, Andy, Jordan, Steve, and Goose. Now, I'm glad I got to see 2 songs of theirs at Furnace Fest, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the band is done now, but I wonder what's going on. We need to get to the bottom of this, Tommy, you and I personally.
I don't think I have the time for that. Nor the resources. I don't know.
What do you think is going on, Tommy? Do you think it's Keith communicating things and not being on the same page with his bandmates? Or do you think his bandmates have the real story and Keith has not the real story? And what do you think it is?
I think
Do you have a theory?
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
It's got to be, right?
I think there's two sides to every story. Rarely is anything in this world black and white. There is always some type of gray area. And I feel like, especially with people that have been connected for so long and literally brothers, this might be something that I'm hoping eventually, after some time passes, can be resolved.
I hope so, because the band is great. I mean, the guys are brothers in the band, Keith and Jordan, and so many people love them. I hope they can work it out. And listen, I would like to extend my offer. Typically we only do one-person interviews, but we would like to extend our offer to have the entire band on and hash this thing out. We can get it done, I'm sure.
100%. Well, that's what I keep getting out. I keep going back to that line. There's been no direct communication with Keith. Everything's been secondhand. So this is some whisper down the lane, telephone type shit where,
Yeah, we'll get everybody on. We'll mediate. Everyone's voice will be heard, and we'll fix this. No problem.
Can you imagine that?
No.
So
No.
how did
The issues here clearly run much deeper than Tommy and I in our podcast. We recognize that, but listen, the offer still stands. Okay. We've got 2 big albums dropping this week on my birthday of all days. We've had the pleasure of speaking to both of these bands.
Yeah.
Anxious Little Greenhouse, which was last week's episode, and Psalm, The Shape of Everything. 2 amazing records, both coming out on the same day. Your thoughts, Tommy?
I'm excited for both of them. Big thing that I keep thinking about is we have these things that happen that seem to be just coincidences, where things just line up perfectly. And 2 of our new favorite bands that are coming out are releasing music on the same day, and it is your birthday. I always go back to that like Mike Shaw thing of we find 108 everywhere. It's like it's just one of these things that's it's a great set of coincidences. And I honestly start to think like maybe this isn't a coincidence. Maybe this is just like the kind of universe taking care of us and making sure that we're okay in a place where we're going to be able to be okay after this.
I like that. That's where my head is at too with all of this stuff. I'm going to be 40 years old. Can you believe that?
Yeah. Well, you're the same age. You're 3 months older than I am. So yeah, no, I rapidly see this date approaching for myself as well. So, yeah, it's just, I think it's just another day, another time, another anniversary, another movement forward. And on top of that, we can look back at all of it and go, look at how much we've gotten done in the last 2 years.
Exactly. So much.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be about, I'm turning 40. It's like, look at the last 2 years. Like, it's been an awesome time, and I'm just glad that we get to share it together.
Same here. Same here. So I was thinking about this, Tommy, an interesting point of discussion. What is the best live show you can remember seeing in recent times?
I haven't been
to think about it. Think about it. I know you haven't been to a ton of shows, but in recent, let's say the last 5 years.
Okay.
There's got to be, or wait, what year is it? 2022?
Yeah.
2019, 18, 17. Yeah, last 5 or 6 years. What is a show that stands out in your mind as the best live show you've been to?
All Else Failed at Century Bar in South Philly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that one definitely stands out for me. And I remember renting a car and drive. It was a weeknight. I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday or something like that. Yeah, that one was great because it was kind of out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like prep and practice and announce, and it was just like, here we are, let's do it.
Yeah, it was funny on stage. It was the people were like, play this, and they all kind of look at each other like, we haven't practiced that, so that's not happening.
That was a great one.
Yeah, I only remember it was a weeknight because if anybody's ever been to an All Else Failed show, you're screaming the lyrics the whole time. I remember I went to go teach my class the next morning, and I had lost most of my voice. I wasn't really able to teach as much as I was like, "Good morning, guys." Like I had to whisper the whole time. Like it was a mess.
Did the children ask what was wrong?
I said that I had gone and seen a friend's band the night before, and I was singing along with them. And I don't have a great singing voice, so I think I don't sing terribly often, so I kind of like damage my voice a little bit. And
I'm surprised you said that much. I would have just been like, oh, I don't feel good or something.
Oh no. I mean, I always think it's funny. Like the kids always kind of poke at like your personal life, what your interests are, what things that you're interested in. And, you know, depending on the mood I'm in and depending on the group of kids I have, I'll kind of give them a little peek into what I really enjoy. And most of the time they're horrified. There's a handful of kids that have seen stuff like that I've showed them, you know, videos from bands playing, and they're like, that seems like it's a lot of fun. I'm like, okay, that's a great attitude. Like, yeah, most people see it and go, that is really scary. That looks like it's not fun.
It's really scary and really fun.
Oh yeah.
My favorite live show, I just count Furnace Fest as a show because I saw every single band in the world in one weekend. It's going to be hard to beat that. But if I weren't going to go with that, I'd probably have to pick an All Else Failed show too. I mean, take your pick because those are always the best times.
Yeah, they really, there was another one they did at Kung Fu Necktie.
Yeah, I think I'm going with that one because that was also part of the genesis of our show. And I was thinking about this earlier today, Tommy. Do you remember before the podcast was even an idea, we were going to play music together? Like I was going to try to start up the Basement Year, my band again, and you were going to play bass. Yeah. Remember that?
I do.
Do you want to still do that?
I have to get a bass, but yeah. I would my thing is like I ordered that interface Saturday afternoon. So it's coming in the next week and a half, 2 weeks or something like that. So I'll be able to start kind of messing around with what recording looks like on Kelly's MacBook. So it'd be really fun. I'm super into it. Yeah, I mean, I think I just want to play. I just really want to learn how to do it. Like just get the basics down of what you should be doing to get correct tone, to be able to, you know, and I think a lot of it's just going to be kind of like what we did with the show. It's going to be experiment, see what works, and then toss out the shit that doesn't and keep the shit that does and just keep moving forward.
If you learned the set and if I learned the songs again and we just had a really good drummer,
yeah,
we could just show up somewhere and play the EP.
Oh yeah.
I think we should do that.
It's what, 4 songs, right?
5.
I could do that.
All right, done deal. We are now top podcasters and top musicians. What do you think of that?
I consistently go back to the idea of that any type of creative outlet that you and I get into together is always going to be fun.
Exactly. And the fun is what's important. All right, so we're out of time for this segment, but please check back with us in the end for more, because right now we are going to talk to Simon Brody of Drowningman. Enjoy. All right, folks, we're here now with Simon Brody. Simon, welcome to the show.
Hey.
It's great to have you here, Simon. You know, we've been working on this for like a year now. Can you believe that?
It seems like longer. But yeah, it was one of those things. I think when we first started to do this, the band didn't exist.
Oh, so it wasn't even back together yet.
No. And I remember you guys were trying to get me to come on the podcast, and I was like, can we wait a few more weeks? Because we might have stuff to announce. And that ended up taking months.
But we're here now, and this is very exciting.
It is.
So, Simon, I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody to kick off. How are you doing today?
Today? By all objective counts, I mean, I'm recovering from COVID, and winter in the North Country is a bleak affair, gotta say. So, I mean, I should be more bummed out than I am, and I can get there. But right now, I'm doing all right.
That sounds great. Are you back in Vermont now?
Well, it's another circle of hell I've kind of decided to locate myself in, called Plattsburgh, New York, where I can see Vermont that far away, but I can also go to a Stewart's whenever I want. So,
oh, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Where is that? I guess that's upstate New York somewhere.
Yeah, it's it's about 10-15 minutes from Dannemora. It's also right across the lake from Vermont, from Burlington. It's also where my girlfriend lives. So therefore where I live.
There you go. Yeah, my sister lives in Syracuse. She posted the temperature other day. It was
Oh, fuck that.
1
No.
degree. It's messed up.
And all that time I spent in Kansas, fondly recalling growing up in Vermont, I did not miss this shit. Did not. No.
So, did you grow up in Vermont, Simon?
I did from the age of 3 or 4 on.
Tell us about it. Where in Vermont, and what kind of deal was it? Like a suburban type deal or something else?
Oh, no. My parents were kind of during the mostly it was in the 70s. A lot of back to land people from New York, a lot of people from Long Island, from the city, moving up to Vermont, kind of hippies, communes going on. So that's kind of how my parents landed here. My dad makes wooden bowls. It's some hippie shit is what it is. But also then again, my dad has, he's had his stuff displayed in the White House a couple times, and
oh wow,
yeah, I mean he's kind of living a parallel life with me. Like there are certain very few select people that would, like, if they heard his name, would be like, oh yeah, I know who that is, or I know who that band is, but otherwise nobody else cares.
Was your dad a musician too?
No, he wasn't. He played a lot of music. Definitely kind of what sort of informed me, being as interested in music as I was later on. Him getting me. Geez, I remember the first few punk records I got were I got like a live Sex Pistols record that was just fucking garbage. And then getting a G.G. Allen cassette. And I'm like, no, this is fucking, I don't like this. I mean, conceptually, I like it, but this is not feeling good to me. So, yeah, I mean, soon after that, I discovered better stuff. But
what was the better stuff you discovered? What grabbed you?
I'd say early on, it was kind of I was into like sort of new wave stuff. And I kind of, didn't like the metal aspect of stuff. I didn't like that. But I think the Bad Brains were the first band that I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the band that I was like, this is what I want to do.
So what was the scene like in Vermont? Where did you come in? What were some of the bands you saw? Like, did you have a moment where you kind of saw things going on and you're like, yes, this is something I want to be a part of?
Yes. And it was the 242 Main, the teen center that Bernie opened. I started going to it right after it opened. And, just being a high school kid and seeing some of these bands play and people that I went on to play in bands with later, but, they were stars to me, and they were accessible, and there were people that I could meet and hang out with. And there was a lot of community back then, and a lot of whatever band played, people went. It didn't matter what it was. If it was kind of underground, a lot of people went because we didn't have a lot of shows.
So who were some of the bands you saw at the time that blew your mind?
Verbal Assault in it was like near the end of high school, maybe college. I don't know, late 80s. I think I might have. I lived an hour and a half away from Burlington. I might have taken somebody's parents' car without their permission. The statute of limitations is elapsed on that one. But yeah, that was the first time that I saw a band. I was like, wow. Yeah, and I ended up going on to book at that club later. And some of the bands that I mean, I could just go on and on. I mean, I saw Fugazi there in 89, 90. I've seen a lot of great bands. I've seen a lot of great bands, and enough great bands that when people are like, well, why don't you like that band? And it's like, because I've fucking seen this band. That's why. That's my justification for being a music snob. And also writing record reviews for the newspaper, does that shit to you too. So
Yeah. What was your thing? Like, what did you want to do musically? What were you into at the time?
I really like this kind of at first kind of like, watching everybody, and then you can kind of hang out with them, and you can start doing your own thing. And I was doing zines and booking shows, and I think it was right after high school. So this is my first band started playing in the early 90s. The singer for their band hadn't showed up, and I didn't weigh over 100 pounds till I was 21. So, I'm just a little snotty punk kid. And they handed me a microphone, and they were like, after we finished the side, us made some shit up, and they were like, wow, it's a lot of very loud for such a little man. So, and that's kind of what happened. I don't know. My self-confidence is not great, but, enough people told me that I was good at it, that it almost got me over my imposter syndrome. But, that's a whole other story. Yeah, I just like being involved, though. And it's like you don't really think about that stuff when you're caught up in it, when you're in the spirit of it. And, geez, I really feel like, actually, not to go too far afield, but the way things are right now, I really think some of that kind of community building is fucking what we need again right now.
I don't feel like that's around anymore.
No.
When you were younger, you had friends who booked shows, you had friends and bands who helped each other out. And
now you're trying to get a t-shirt deal. Hey. All right.
I don't know. I was in a band a few years ago, and my friends were like, hey, could you want to help book a show? What if we played? And they're just like, eh. And I'm like, cool, well, fuck you too.
Yeah, it used to be about that, going and staying on somebody's floor in a different city. And I mean, I've had this for a while. We didn't have a place to practice, so we were renting Airbnbs. And then we came on this idea of doing a Airbnb tour. And it's a stupid idea, but it's and I've actually, being a lawyer, I've investigated a little bit, and there are actually some places that, do allow whatever. Not going to get into that. But, that kind of renegade underground stuff is, without it, I don't know that this stuff means as much as it once did. And I don't want to be like, the old guys saying, oh, back in my day. It's like, and there are still some bands that are doing that. But, you really like to see people that are trying to connect with other people, not just like, I'm going to write this song in my basement and dump it on, SoundCloud or, put it on streaming platforms or whatever and never talk to anyone.
But you had the stones to just go and pick up a microphone and sing for a band without even knowing what you were doing. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Played our first show and knowing 3 songs. And I think one of them was a cover. I've always been kind of putting the cart before the horse, but
yeah. How many different kind of bands were you in, like leading up to Drowningman?
2. And kind of the thing with Drowningman, it was very similar with other bands. I was in a band out of high school that, was a band for like 5 or 6 years, a band called The Champions. And then we put a record out on Moo Cow Records. We ended up going on to do a lot of incredible split records, a lot of just so many bands.
All right, so you're in The Champions. Now, this was a band for 5 or 6 years, you say?
Yeah, it was. And it was a band that we were fucking terrible when we started. Our bass player, one of my best friends, Sterling Dew, could only play bass in a sitting position on a folding chair. A real professional operation. We played a 3-song show, and I think we took those 3 songs and entered the Battle of Bands. Came in dead last. By the next year, we were first place, and right around then is when Nirvana broke, and then all of a sudden we had all these people coming to our shows because they wanted to, cram their thumb into their buddy's eye, and do that kind of like moshing shit. So we got locally, we had huge shows, and we ended up touring with a band you might have heard of called Earth Crisis.
Oh.
Yeah. Fucking weird tour.
How was that tour? We had Scott from Earth Crisis on the show recently, and
harrowing is how it was. A fucking harrowing.
how so?
This is back in the day of like, man, I think it was even before beepers and all that shit. Like the people were, there was a very small network of people that booked tours. It was like 93. And this guy was booking this tour. And somehow he asked us to open for Earth Crisis, even though we didn't really know each other. And even though we had like we had one 7-inch out. So he booked the tour and then he handed it off to us. And there's like 5 shows for a month. Like all these holes in it. And I tried my best to fill that in. I think we all worked to do that. And by the end of that summer, I think while we were on the tour, their Firestorm 7-inch came, and all of a sudden, they're a huge fucking deal. But while we're on the tour, it wasn't like that. We played in Tyler, Texas with Unbroken and Mean Season in 1993. Holy shit.
Were the Champions like a straight edge band? Did you fit into that scene at all?
In appearance, stylistically, we liked stuff like that. It was definitely we were not straight edge. No, we were not a straight edge band, but we played with straight edge bands. It's strange, and I think it became more commonplace at that time. It's like kind of playing metalcore-ish stuff, or the kind of proto metalcore. You were either straight edge or you were, I don't know. It took a while for there to be non-straight edge metalcore.
Oh, that's interesting. So it kind of started as a straight edge thing.
I feel predominantly, especially when you're talking about like the Earth Crisis and the Unbroken. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty prevalent.
So did you look straight edge at least? I mean, you must have if you got it. Yeah. So you had the look at
we
least.
had the fucking haircut. So anyway, that band broke up after that tour. And then I moved to Boston, and man, there was a lot going on around then. It was when Converge was getting back together after Jeff, their bass player, had gone to McGill. They played, it was a New Bedford festival. Yeah, just seeing all that early stuff happening in Boston and, at the basement of the co-op in Alston, Harvest Co-op, a lot of shows there, seeing Cable in the early days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a very rich scene. You've got Cable, you've got Jesuit, you've got Cave-In, you've got Converge, you've got probably a lot of other stuff I'm forgetting.
Oh, not even going to go there. It's like, if I don't say somebody's name that should be mentioned, I'll feel bad. But I'm gonna say Cable because man, that band in their early days, nothing could fucking touch it.
So did all of that influence what eventually became Drowningman?
It did. At the time, I was actually in a band in Boston with some of the people from the Champions. Al from American Nightmare was playing drums. My friend Justin, who's also from Vermont, he had played as touring guitarist in Shift. It was more of a kind of like a emo kind of thing, and we worked for a year, and the songs were fucking great. And then we played 3 shows and broke up.
What happened?
We couldn't agree on a name. I'm not going to be in a fucking band named Santa. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It was grueling. We could not fucking agree on a name. So actually, a couple of years later, when I started, hey, I have a list. What do you guys think about this? Oh, Drowningman? Cool. Let's go. Like, that was easy.
It's funny that you mentioned that. The first band I was in, I went through such a crazy fight of what the band should be named that from then on, if someone picked a name that was even just half shitty, I'd be like, okay, fine, let's go with it.
Yeah. And if you're in a band where there's this much of a problem with agreeing on the band name, then there's going to be problems.
Yes.
We were playing with also with Ryan from a band called Third Age from New Bedford area. Yeah, and then after that, and this is when things were really starting to kind of, there was a lot more going on in Boston, and I was like, I'm going to move back to Burlington and start this band, and kind of, then we started playing more, like we played at the Harvest Co-op. We knew all these people. There was a kind of a collective, Treehouse, we called it the Treehouse Collective. There were a lot of people that were involved in that back, Kurt and Jake and just John LaCroix, just a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's, man, when you're in that moment, where you're like, there's some real creative shit going on here. And it's definitely, that's the soil that, Pieballs grew in, Cave In grew in. Yeah, by the time I moved back to Vermont and we started playing shows, they were like, oh, there's this other new band that we should put on the show called Piebald or, Cave In or what. Yeah, it was a crazy time.
You described it well, like the rich soil of creativity and just all these amazing bands come out of it.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I hate the idea. There is competition in music, and it's like when your friends are doing awesome stuff, you don't dislike them for it, but you got to fucking up your game. It's
Right.
like everybody's pushing each other and being creative, and there's shows happening, and it's, a good thing for everyone.
It's a good thing to have healthy competition, though. Like that's a good, it pushes other people to kind of test what their limits are as well. Like, I think I see someone playing guitar really well and I'm like, damn, I want to play like that.
Right. Like, you don't look at them and go, like, fuck that guy.
No,
Come on.
Especially if it's somebody like
you're a hater.
Especially if it's somebody I'm friendly with. You can't deny though, like when you see someone doing something really well, you just go,
your talent offends me. Yeah, you're right.
That's a great way of putting it.
I was like that when I was a kid, when I didn't have anything going on and my friends were doing shit that I wanted to do. But, that's how you are when you're young.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you grow up in a small town like Vermont and people are telling you like, oh, you're really great at this. And then you start going out and doing it nationally and you're like, oh, there are other people that are very talented at this as well. But
right.
We're our own thing. I think that we kind of got lumped into a lot of the stuff that was going on in Boston. But at the same time, we had a lot of influence from, the Canadian stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ, that band Shotmaker, I cannot say enough about them. Seeing them at 242 early on, it just fucking blew my mind. And they're a very big part of Drowningman sound, like that kind of like churning, urgent kind of rhythmic stuff. I don't know if you know that band, but
no. But whenever I edit the episode, I listen to all the bands everybody mentions on YouTube, and it's one of my favorite things about doing this.
Yeah, you really should. That band, they got really big for a couple of years, and then I don't know what happened. They kind of disappeared.
So you're back in Vermont. We're putting together Drowningman. Now, what did you have a vision? How much planning went into this? Because Drowningman is a unique band, like you mentioned. It's a unique sound. It didn't quite sound like all the other metalcore stuff that was going on, and you guys had a very specific sense of humor with the lyrics and the song titles and the attitude and everything else. Did you plan on that, or did it develop over time?
I think it's for me. I mean, it's everyone else in the band also, but it's part of my personality. We had something that we've been repeating to each other. Somebody, you got to give the people what they want, and no, we give the people what they need. It's like we were one of those bands that never fucking gave the people exactly what they wanted. We'll give it to you at the different time when you don't expect it, but we didn't stick to the formula, I guess. I don't know.
So tell us about the early days of the band.
Early days of the band. We played a lot of those shows. We got onto a lot of great shows. Hydrahead put out our first 7-inch, and we were lucky to be just included with all the bands on that label. And then we kind of, man, it's hard. It's hard being on a record label with Botch and Cave In. And I mean,
ISIS.
ISIS was just, I don't know. Yeah, they were, I mean, kind of like a step ahead of the rest of us, even at the.
So Drowningman gets the attention of Hydra Head. They put out your first 7-inch and the now classic Busy Signal at the Suicide Hotline, right?
Right. We had a different guitarist in the band at the time, and he ended up being replaced by Daryl, who went on to be in Cancer Conspiracy. And this other guy was a great guitarist. I think Aaron wasn't really sure what we were going to hand into him. And I think we weren't sure either until we had tracked up here and we brought it down to Steve Evans at Tracks East. And this thing that we'd had that we worked really hard on it, but it didn't sound quite right. And then Steve just, wow, that's us. He's like, yeah. Oh, hey, check out this band that I just recorded last weekend. And he plays us Dillinger Escape Plans Under the Running Board. As happy as we were with Busy Signal, he just kind of wanted to give up right then.
I don't blame you. That they, after, when I saw Dillinger for the first time, right when that EP came out, they became my favorite band for like the next 8 years or something.
That's interesting. I think in the early days, there was a lot of times where they would play and people wouldn't know what the fuck to make of it.
Yeah.
I saw Dillinger in 1996 or 97 in an auto body shop just outside of Philadelphia. And I remember being terrified. I think I was 14 or 15 at the time. And at one point in time, there's a video of it on YouTube. Ben comes right up in my face and screams right in my face. Like he's not even holding the guitar at this point.
That's fucking customer service. That's customer service. He's bringing you into the show. That stuff is great. If I had my way, we would play only in like convenience stores or like those the fucked up places that we've had to play before. Those can be so much fun.
So you bring the stuff to Steve Evans. He records it at Tracks East, and you have Busy Signal at the Suicide Hotline, right?
Yeah, we do. And then we recorded with him one more time after that to do, because as soon as he played us that, we're making friends with these guys, and we're back down there to do the Dillinger split. And then soon thereafter, had a big change up in the band. Some people moved out to the West Coast, our drummer and bass player and guitar player. So Javen and I kind of rebuilt the whole band, and it seemed over. And then out of that, we started playing with Matt Roy, who, I mean, has become that's become Drowningman to people. Matt Roy and Javen Leonard playing guitar is Drowningman.
Matt Roy and Jay, what do they play respectively?
Matt Roy and Javen play. They play guitar. And I'm putting an asterisk next to that because these motherfuckers, we've been recording those demos. I swear to God, they're playing two different guitar parts, but they're not. I don't know how they do this shit they do.
I'm curious about the recording of Busy Signal. Your voice sounds massive on that. Just this shrieking, like huge thing. Did you double track it? Is that just what you sound like? That it's that massive?
I've always double tracked. I've always double tracked. And actually, I've always double tracked. And now playing live, I use a thing. It's just a straight doubler. And it sounds much more kind of true to the recording, or, a better approximation of it. And also part of the, that is that the vocals were buried down a little bit lower than they normally would be, which that makes them occupy more space with the multiple tracks. I like doing weird shit like that.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way it sounds. I love the whole record. That's when I discovered you guys, was that record.
Wow. Early adopter.
I'm like an OG almost.
You certainly are. I mean, a lot of people that really got in on that record still think it's our best record. And anybody that might think that way will be pleased to know that this new drummer we have he understands the way Todd played on those early records. It's more of there's kind of an updated Busy Signal thing going on too.
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead a bit. You have that new song is out now, right?
It is. It is. It'll be up on streaming by the time this episode airs, I'm sure.
The new song, Navigating Grief and Loss in a Pre-Apocalyptic Landscape. Tommy and I were blown away by this song. It really does have that classic Drowningman feel. The energy and the viciousness and the heaviness and the beauty. It has it all. We really dug the track.
I'm really glad, and I also it is a demo, so we left space. I mean, that's part of the stuff that we're going to record with Steve Evitz. So I'm glad that people are liking it already, even though it doesn't feel all the way done.
Well, if that's not all the way done, then you're on to something here.
Yeah. Hey, and the thing is, once you release it, like I'm hesitant to like change it too much now. Who knows?
Yeah, I dig it though. So we're jumping back in time. Drowningman is playing. You've got this new lineup, right? Is that new lineup what ended up writing How to Light Cigarettes?
Yes.
Okay. So how is the band at the time? I only caught you guys live once, and it was around that time. I remember it was a show at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, Jesus, the Thursday show.
Yes. And one thing I liked about Drowningman is you guys didn't look like other bands either. I remember the guitar player had some like cool collared long sleeve shirt on, and you had like the slicked back hair thing going on. You didn't look like other bands, and you didn't sound like other bands.
I much to other people's disappointment, but I'm doing me. I don't know. Yeah, and I think some of the stuff we were doing kind of came back around and got done in a different, cleaner, polished way. And then it's that was a different time then. But at the time, yeah, we didn't really fit in anywhere necessarily. We weren't trying to.
Talk about that a little bit. Did you find acceptance with other bands and crowds? Were you guys happy with what you were doing, or were you just like, fuck it, we're going to do whatever we want wherever we go?
Okay, the first thing is that I could write these songs, and that's how I prefer to do it, is to write these songs and not give a fuck what anybody else thinks. I'm doing it for me. It's like, we talked a year ago, and as you may or may not remember, I was going through a pretty hard time, went through a rough divorce, and so it's like, I just want to get that shit out there. There was always something like that, but back then the problems I had in my 20s do not compare. Yeah, so it was kind of like we wanted to be genuine. We wanted to be, we're doing what we're doing. Fuck it if other people don't like it, which is not the greatest attitude to have. Sometimes our customer service skills were not great in that way. But yeah, I think that people that liked us for that. I don't know.
No, you're right. And that's the thing. If you can't play the game, so to speak, the sad part is you're just going to end up isolating yourself a little bit.
But isolating ourselves a little bit from the whole like industry part of it. But the thing is as for connecting with people, like to me, like playing in a band, playing hardcore, this is fucking adult play. This is what I need to do when we're hanging out, when we were renting an Airbnb for the weekend and bunting apples with a aluminum bat and stuff like that. We're having fun. We're having fun. We're not hurting anybody. Yeah, it's all adult play, and like playing the songs, writing the songs, and then all of a sudden where you kind of enter this whole thing of like, oh, now why aren't people reacting to this? Why aren't labels doing that? That's where all of a sudden you've left your ego out of all the rest of it just for the sake of creating. And then you have this finished product and you're like, why don't people like this more? Or no one's going to care. That's the thing. If you're going to have an attitude like you don't care and then you do care, it sucks.
Did you have those moments?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like with a release or something like that, or a time where you're like, why isn't this bigger? Why don't people like this more? Why don't people like me? Did you ever get into that territory?
When the first tour we ever did, it was at the same time that How They Light Cigarettes came out. We toured with Dillinger Escape Plan, and we fucking held our own with Dillinger Escape Plan on a national tour. I mean, yeah. So we were, feeling pretty good. And then we recorded Rock and Roll Killing Machine, which was just a logistical nightmare and a lot of equipment malfunctions and just a real long time to happen. Then when it got released, the A&R guy at Rev that we knew had let us know that he was quitting. And then also a friend of ours that somehow knew what was going on with, like, said that Rev had lost their distribution. There was a brief gap there. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was like, oh. And then so this is our next tour after the Dillinger tour, where like we kind of held our own and separated ourselves by the fact that we had, these melodic parts, which sometimes was good. And sometimes you're playing in the wrong place. You're playing with a lot of metal bands and you have, I think it was Metairie, Louisiana, people yelling at between songs, "Shut the fuck up, Smashing Pumpkins." So,
oh man,
you go from that, and then the next tour you do, and you're playing with Glassjaw, and you're like, oh, I got lapped. I got lapped in the. But the thing is, I also think that kind of marks this transition from where we were doing stuff, kind of like the melodic stuff is more of an kind of emo. Sunny Day Real Estate, Promise Ring, kind of in that vein of like, you don't have to sing perfectly. It has to have like feeling and emotion. It's okay if you have a little, voice crack here and there and blah, blah, blah. And then if people like fucking Daryl, man, he bummed me out. Man, he was too good. He was too good.
Yeah. So tell the Krazy Fest story.
What? No. What happened? What happened? Okay, this is what happens when you start. The pure ideas of why you're playing music, and then you get into industry bullshit. We were playing with Nora and Dillinger on the way out to Krazy Fest. They were playing in Chicago. We were supposed to play a day earlier than them, but we were playing in Chicago. Flower Booking wanted to come see, and this is when they were, before they signed ISIS. They're starting to break into more hardcore stuff, and they wanted to talk with us. So we were like called Ryan at Krazy Fest, and 15 years sober, I'm making this amends now. Ryan, man, I'm fucking sorry. I was a fucking asshole. So we wanted to play the show, and he did not like that. And it's like, well, okay, I'll put you guys on early. So everything works out with Flower. We have a little celebration. We wake up 10 minutes before our set is supposed to happen, and we could see Krazy Fest from our motel room. And so we wandered over there, and Ryan was pissed at us, and he's like, "Nope, that's it. You guys, you forced our hand to, let you play this day, and then you don't even fucking show up on time." No, having done shows, I would fucking hate that band. So we're like, oh, okay. Some very well-known straight edge people had recently become not straight edge, and they thought it was a good time to drink some bourbon with me at 1:00 in the hot Louisville sun. So we're doing that. It was about 40 minutes later. The show's going on anyway. A couple bands have played, and Ryan comes back over, and he's like, "People are fucking pissed. They want you to play." Like he got made to have us play, and I'm like, shit. I have just drank like two. I'd had a bit much to drink. I went on stage with my pint glass full of Jim Beam.
Oh Lord.
And it's hard to find a place to put your drink at a fest where it doesn't get knocked over. It got knocked over, and I there found myself drinking bourbon off the stage at Krazy Fest, and So, which of you are sober?
That's me, Keith.
So, can you imagine at your like third year, where they're asking you to tell your story, and you tell that story, and
You know what, Simon? When you said that the glass got knocked over and you drank the
fuck yeah.
bourbon off the stage, the very first thing I thought was I would have done the same exact thing.
Well, and the thing is that at okay, so we're kind of like outsiders, and then we really adopted that, and we pushed it too far, and I think it was also, to be antagonistic towards it did not serve us well. I will tell you that. I will tell you that.
Right.
And that was definitely at the point of blowing the band up. I was going through relationship problems then, and I was, just kind of, yeah, seeing what happened.
Talk about some of your struggles and how you overcame them. I remember I was heavily into drugs and alcohol, and I was a mess for a really long time. I remember Drowningman was on a tour or something, and you posted, or the band posted somewhere, and you're like, "Hey, we'll
I think
trade."
whatever you're saying is lying.
All right,
Okay.
this isn't true, but
tell your lie. Yeah, sure. Tell your lie.
yeah, the lie is that I think you posted and said, "Hey, we'll trade you Drowningman merch for painkillers on tour."
You want to know what that is?
Yes.
Don't let Drowningman play shows with I Hate God. Like when you see like their merch table, and they have like will trade merch for, like, they kept it a little bit more under the radar, and it's like, how do we take this? I remember when we started writing it into our rider.
No.
Yeah, because just to be assholes.
Would you ever get them?
I think a couple times people were like, I don't know. It's like, it's a joke, but they had a big meeting at, what the fuck is it? In Oakland, Berkeley. Yeah, come on. You got to help me here. The venue.
Gilman?
Yeah. Yes. The collective. So the collective, like, should we do it? Yeah. No. And again, that was like, we were just doing stuff to be contrary, and it's all a joke. But the thing is, it fucking wasn't a joke. Let me tell you what happened because of this. Is I did that to be cute. In El Paso, Texas, someone shows up. He has terminal leukemia and a full bottle of Oxycontins, which I'd never done before. And he gives them to me, an 80 milligram Oxycontin. It is very strong. El Paso, we're driving through the desert for the next few days. I mean, I was addicted to them by the time I came home, because it's like, long drives. Like, oh, what's there to do? Oh, let's have another one of these. So, careful what you wish for. It's a joke. And yeah, it didn't do a great job for me.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that, and I'm like, oh, these guys are down. That's cool. Because I was like getting high at the time. So you get off this tour, and you find yourself addicted to painkillers after the tour. How bad did things get, and how did you overcome it? How did you get clean?
How did I get clean? Well, so from there, I mean, my behavior once I started doing that, like, fucking precipitated downward sharply. I think by the end of the next tour, because I was keeping it in check. Like, I was, I wouldn't say I was addicted, but it was the first time where I was like, it's not, I feel not great because I did not take pills today.
Yeah, there's this period where you're not fully physically addicted yet, and like this happened to me. I didn't even know what was going on really, but I'd notice when I didn't get high, I'd go on a business trip and I'd be sneezing and I'd have congestion and I'd feel cold, and I was like, oh, I have a cold. But it's like, no, this is stupid. This is the beginning of like
you got
withdrawal.
Drug withdrawals. So,
yeah,
right.
And I didn't even realize it.
So I kind of rode that train for. I moved out to San Francisco after Drowningman broke up. Was playing in a band called The Scheme with actually Todd, the first drummer of Drowningman.
Yes.
And Pete from Lifetime. Ian he's in Kowloon Walled City now, formerly of Skank and Pickle. So yeah, I mean, during that time, kind of things kept going from bad to worse. I would get sober on my own, like, just the willpower. a couple of years later, we did that Don't Push Us When We're Hot. And if you think I wasn't on drugs when I made that record, you're sadly fucking mistaken. So, I mean, I had to be on drugs to allow that to be released. So, fast forward a year, I'm teaching English in Korea because I've run out of options. Pills are very easy to find in Korea. I came home and went to rehab, and I've been sober ever since, 15 years.
Well, I think, one, I wanted you to tell that story because it's important. I struggled for so long, for, 15 years with alcohol and drugs, and I didn't know how to stop. I would read books about guys I liked who were dead who did the same drugs I did, but I was so resistant to try recovery or detox or any of that stuff. But once I finally did, that's the beginning of when it all started to turn around. So,
it's that fucking surrender to it. I mean, I was in Kansas at the time, and I was like, they're gonna make me do Jesus. Holy shit! Looks like here we go. And then there's, early AA. There's a lot of we call it like sticking to the middle of the boat. Don't try too hard. Don't try to be exceptional. Like there's all this stuff in AA about the basically it's ego. It's kind of the stuff that really had driven Drowningman. So it took me a while to figure out, like, how can I don't have this creative outlet anymore. By that, I'm married, have kids. Yeah, it was always something that, during that time, like not having a creative outlet was hard for me too. But I definitely took in the whole AA thing of, just living a normal, simple life, just not trying to be anything more than, a good husband, good father. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, because like drugs kind of fueled creativity for a little, but then they took it all away from me. And I just lived in a fantasy world of being strung out and watching TV.
The stuff that you wrote when you were on drugs was probably garbage, just letting you know.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
That's how it was for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't really done anything significant while on drugs. My real creativity didn't start until after I got clean.
Right.
Like it all came back. As soon as I got clean, I started writing music again. I started getting into a little film stuff and acting, and this podcast. All that stuff came after I got clean. I wasn't doing shit while I was still getting high.
Right. I mean, you were probably talking about it. You probably had plans to do it. Yeah.
Oh, I had plenty of plans.
Sure. Right. But it's all of a sudden like having the ability to actually be at the place on time to do the thing. Hey,
right.
Look at this.
Right.
But then again, I'm in Kansas because I had graduated law school, and during that last year of law school, I had met a girl, and I ended up, I guess I'm staying in Kansas. So, I mean, that's been a difficult thing for the last 10, 15 years, being homesick and then being back here and being homesick for Kansas is a super mind fuck. So, yeah.
Are your kids in Kansas still?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so that's got to be tough.
It really is. Yeah. I fucking great kids. Yeah, it was definitely not the most harmonious divorce. I think I told you guys before. Somewhere in the legal proceedings was a lawyer who was also one of the directors of the Westboro Baptist Church. My wife's lawyer, and the thing is, yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on there. Things are kind of settling down with her. I see my kids as much as I can. I am moving back to Kansas City hopefully by the summer, once we have this record written. I mean, as much as I thought I needed to get away from my wife, I miss the fuck out of my kids.
Real quick, Simon, if you don't mind my asking, where did you go to law school, and what was your focus of practice?
I went to Washburn Law School in Topeka, Kansas, the alma mater of Fred Phelps of the Westboro
I was just going to
Baptist
say,
Church. You could suck my dick. And don't edit that out. Man, because I used to, they would fucking protest on the sidewalk in front of the exit for the law school, and they'd always do it like when I had a night class and I was trying to leave. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way, you people. And somebody needs to teach them fucking graphic design. Jesus Christ, with their sign.
Yeah, they're big Comic Sans people. They
No,
just like the goofiest shit. Like, really? Like,
I mean, when you have kids holding them, you can get away with it, I guess. I don't know.
You know, Simon, I always tried to keep tabs on you online. You had a blog going for a while. I was always curious about what happened to you. And I was pretty impressed that the frontman of Drowningman became an attorney. You must have been ultra focused in law school. Tommy here tried to become an attorney, but it didn't work out for him.
failed miserably.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. How far did you make it?
I made it midway through my second year.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. If you're going to start the second, I mean, you're in, right?
Well, I went to school part-time. So it would have taken me, my degree would have taken 4 years.
Where did you go?
I started at Widener University in Delaware, and I was going to transfer to Temple, and that's actually when I made the choice to not transfer and become a teacher.
You know what? While you were in law school, answer me this question. Were you not aware that you were among some of the shittiest people on earth, probably?
So actually...
Isn't that why you stopped, Tommy?
I think that was one of the biggest things is when we went to go take, it was my civil procedure exam. When I went to go, like, it was a writing assignment, and you actually had to go to the library to pick up the packet that was there for it. So there was a series of readings. There was 2009, 2010.
Okay. Same. Yeah.
And I went to go pick up the packet, and in my cohort, I think there was 197 people or something. It was just under 200 people. And I went to go pick up the packet, and I went to the librarian because she was like, "Oh yeah, I can get it for you. Hold on." And they were supposed to be on top of this countertop behind the desk.
Somebody cut your throat, didn't they?
Somebody took the whole stack.
Yeah.
To get it. She's like, "I can print more," and I'm like, I know that, but
law
like to get
school is so fucking cutthroat. It's
a 2-hour jump on us. Like, that's really what they did. Like, they took the whole fucking stack, and I was like, what a weird thing to do. And there was another girl that was in my study group. We went
Whoever
with
did that probably got a better grade.
Well, that's the other thing. I started seeing that was kind of like when my older sister is an attorney, and she graduated from Temple, and then she got her LLM from Penn. And she had a real serious talk with me in the summertime when I was on break. And I remember her being like, "What do you think you're going to do with this?" And I was like, "Be a lawyer, And she's like, No. You're graduating from a tier 3 school. You're going to graduate with an enormous amount of debt." She's like, "Granted, you work at a law firm and they pay for a portion of it. You're making okay money. But do you know what the average salary of a district, ADA is?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "It's about $51,000. And I was like, "Get the fuck out of here. Lawyers make good money." And she's like, "No, people that graduate from top 20 schools make good money. You go to UVA, you go to Yale, you go to Stanford, you go to those types of schools. Those are the people that are making 170, 190 walking out of school."
That's bullshit. And it's true. It's true. That's the way it's structured. The only way to do it is, I was forced into the situation where I'm a solo practitioner. I do a lot of my stuff online. I ended up going to school concentrating on business and transactional law. I tried courtroom stuff. I remember there was this workshop we had about cross-examination where they had me stand up at the front of the class. They were trying to break me of the habit of saying by wadding up. He instructed all the students to wad up paper and throw it at me every time I said So,
I'm doing that with Tommy too.
So I stood up. Well, fuck you for doing that because that's really cruel. And especially because I just stood up there said for about a solid minute and got pelted with so many papers. And I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm not doing that. So what could I do? I had a new family and started my law practice online and started doing a lot of stuff that way, and have kind of figured out what I'm doing, and have my own areas of specialty, a lot of intellectual property stuff, a lot of business stuff, which, by the way, I mean, a lot of this stuff, man, if I had fucking known any of this stuff when I was in a band, the amount of money being in Drowningman costed me, not having stuff done the right way. That's a whole other story. But you see, like, all this stuff, you're like, I shouldn't have signed that. I shouldn't have done this. Yeah. So
let's talk about the Scheme. I love that band to this day. I still listen to Love Advice at $3.99 per minute till this day.
It's a good song.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. It was recorded in a fucking practice space in Oakland on a fucking 8-track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, tell the story about what happened with that band.
Did I tell you this already? That's why you're asking me this shit, right?
That is true.
That's a very distinct possibility.
That's a very distinct possibility.
Listen, it's a good story, and it's a good life lesson type of thing for people out there who may be struggling.
So, which Scheme story are we fishing here for? Because there's a couple.
The record contract.
Oh God. So we had recorded these demos. We put them up. We were having a lot of discussion with record labels. I think Carl from Ferret at the time offered us a good amount of money. There was a lot of disagreement in the band that didn't want to be associated with hardcore stuff. Around the same time, Revelation decided they wanted to exercise their leaving members clause. So that was kind of a clusterfuck. So there were labels that wanted to put it out. We friends of ours from New York by way of Burlington, a band called Pilot to Gunner. They were on a label called Arena Rock that was an imprint of Ryko Disc, I believe. So we played their showcase at South by Southwest. They wanted to put out the record. This band, we talked a lot about wanting to sound like Oasis, and we didn't really sound like Oasis, but we did a lot of other shit like Oasis. And so we had a 7:00 show in Austin, and we began the day by doing a noon barbecue with free beer. So come 7:00, the fellas are not feeling so great. So we played a kind of lackluster set. Ian, who was the only straight edge person in the band, was not fucking psyched, as he had every right to be. So some of the other guys in the band, I went up to the label guy afterwards and was like, what did you think? He was like, well, I think the record's still good. And I'm like, so I picked up an empty pint glass off the bar and smashed it on his feet. Because I had another bandmate instigating me next to me. The show continues. I think another guy in the band snuck underneath the stage and fell asleep. By the end of the show, we're being told to load out. Someone in the band would not leave, was kind of wandering around. So the bouncer brought him over a glass of water. He said, I want a glass of water. Took a sip of the glass of water and spit it in the guy's face. And we were playing on the 3rd floor of this place called Buffalo Billiards. And my man's head up every stair all the way down. He got escorted out of Buffalo Billiards, where we come outside and see that one of our guitar players had gotten a football helmet from one of the other bands and was trying to tackle rickshaw, kind of those rickshaw cab things, tackle the drivers off it. It was not great. So I think that was sort of the end of that band.
What a way to go out, though.
I mean, sure, it's a good story. I mean, but it's fucking stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though with alcoholism and addiction. It's like you can't control yourself. I couldn't. I can't tell you about how many opportunities I squandered with potential relationships or bands or any of that other stuff.
Now the thing is, when I was in rehab in Dodge City, Kansas, you have your first cigarette of the morning and hear the hogs getting killed in the pens across the road. Good stuff. The leader of the lady, the director of the rehab, told us some of you people are just addicts. Some of you people are just fucking criminals, whatever it is. And I feel like, I mean, even though I don't have the the addiction's not there, but I still think that some of these ideas that are funny that probably aren't, or kind of punk rock asinine behavior, that it is funny to a degree still. And that's something I'm working on. Not real hard, but I'm working on
it. Well, at least you're working on it.
I want people to be entertained at my expense. Sure. I mean, I got a few good years left. I'll sacrifice my body for the greater good.
We love to hear that. Talk about best record ever.
Oh my fucking God. What? Dude, I can't believe I told you some of this shit. Okay. Anyway, best record ever. Again, this is like.
Let me precede this just by saying this is the best story ever.
So we had some issues with Rev after that kind of bungled release.
Rock and Roll Killing Machine, right?
Yeah. And and Papa Roach asked us to go on tour, but our label would have to rent a bus for us, and they wouldn't pony up for it. And
what?
That was our fucking big shot.
Oh.
I don't know, I would like to hear about Cut My Life into Pieces every night for fucking 40 days straight.
Why not?
I know. So whatever. I mean, there were other things, but we just wanted to be off Revelation. We had one record left in our contract, foreshadowing things to come. I read through the contract and found out that there's this thing of the right of refusal. We could send them a record. They could send it back to us and say, make improvements. And then we would send it back to them. And that's that. So it's like, oh, okay. So, all right, well, we're ready to record next weekend. And what happened during that week? Actually, there wasn't a lot of preparation. I think we just kind of went in there and this is some of the fucking wildest shit you've ever heard. We went with Kurt Ballou into God City, who was a very willing participant. I believe on a few tracks he played some saxophone. I believe he soloed over some tasteful 12-bar blues. We had a song called, actually Kurt, I think, conceptualized this. It was called Guitar Center Duel, and it was somebody playing Sweet Emotion in one speaker badly and somebody playing Stairway to Heaven badly in the other speaker.
This is genius.
I think so.
This is pure Drowningman.
But you know what? Serious, like hardcore kids that want the mosh. What the fuck is this? I don't know. I mean, to me, hardcore punk. It's all in there somewhere. Yeah. So,
did you finish the record, so to speak?
No, no, we did not. We recorded it and then played it for Revelation, and they were not excited.
So you actually got to play some of this for them?
Oh yeah. I did. Did I send you? Yeah, I have all the tracks. It's without vocals, and I mean that's something I might do when I have time. But
you got to release that. But set the stage for us a little bit. Are you like in a boardroom playing the songs for these guys? I want to know.
Oh no, we're on tour in a van, and we're playing it to the A&R person. And
what's his reaction?
Not great. Not great. And the thing is they knew what was coming, and I'm just being an asshole because I have conceived this thing just trying to hurt feelings, which is not a great way to go. Yeah, they did not care for it.
I mean, I think they should have realized what comedic and conceptual genius they had on their hands and put it out personally.
Actually, you want to know what's weird is I had a conversation with Jordan just last week, and I've kind of made amends to him before in the past, and kind of now that I'm doing this again, and geez, it's only been in the last week or so that I've really had to deal with any of the logistics of this, of what record label are we going to put this out on. And we have a pretty good team of people together. Like, we have shows for next year, which I have learned today I'm not allowed to announce. So we have hopefully we're going to limit ourselves to like festival appearances and short tours here and there. It's still to be determined who will put the record out. So we already released that one song. We're going to finish recording. I just have vocals to finish up on the other one, and we're going to be sending that out as an industry demo, because I love that shit. I love industry shit. I do. I love it.
And now, as an attorney, you can better navigate it and slice and dice through those contracts.
Absolutely not. And somebody said that to me before, and then, I think Dan Sanshaw from EBR, I was asking him about something. And he said to me, the music business has changed quite a bit. And I thought to myself, and I've had it mentioned to me by other people, and the beauty of that is we didn't understand the music business before. So whatever, fuck it. I think I need to get tattoos on my face. That's as much. I've got a list written down of things that I'm supposed to do, apparently. Drowningman could have been a SoundCloud rapper, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You could do like a trap emo record. I would be into it. I listened to some of that stuff.
You know what? This is fucking weird. Who's really picked up on that stuff? Is my kids.
Oh yeah,
my kids have come to emo and on their own, and they're playing me stuff that they're listening to that is not something I would expect like 8 and 11-year-olds to be listening to. And then in turn, it kind of gives me, well, you should check this out if you like that. Like, my youngest is really into My Chemical Romance, and geez, 2 or 3 years ago, when they mentioned the word emo, I mean, everything fucking stopped. And I pulled out, I pulled out the speed. Like, you are not going to listen to all the stuff they listen to now. You're going to listen to this. This is real emo. And they didn't understand that now, but, we're able to share Spotify playlists. She was really into My Chemical Romance, and I sent her like a Knapsack and Jealous Sound are something that she's really liking now. So yeah.
Jealous Sound are so good. Anxious Arms, I cry at that song.
God,
come on.
Yeah. She's my youngest has started taking piano lessons, and she is she inherited the gene. When she was an infant, when she would start to inhale, I would have to go find a safe place to let her let that out, because it was like detonating a fucking bomb. She's like the loudest human being I've ever met when she wants to be. And she's started taking piano lessons, is musically talented, and has good taste in music. I mean, hey, My Chemical Romance at 8 is, she's
that's pretty refined.
Yeah.
And say what you will about My Chemical Romance, but look at what they did. I mean, I think they look good, they sound good, they made it to the top.
Well, and considering a year ago it was K-pop, yeah, we're doing all right.
Exactly. And that's a beautiful thing, that you get to share music with them, and music that you actually enjoy. That's got to be the best.
Oh, the other, I don't know if you know the visualizer of that new song on YouTube. There's a visualizer for the song, and all the shots are of my kids dressed up in different gear that we've gotten for us to take pictures with, and just a Wolfman
Oh, you know
mask.
what? I saw some of those pictures on your Instagram,
Yeah,
and I was like, these kids are so cool. Look at these outfits.
yeah. They're no, let's not. My kids are fucking amazing. They really are.
Yeah, you guys look happy. I like seeing that stuff.
Yeah. It's been hard, like coming home, and then it's like then counting down the days till I see them again, and I'm moving back there. My ex and I are getting along a little bit better.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not as angry about that, or I go there when I have a microphone in front of me. So yeah, I mean that's good. And man, I grew up without a dad, and in the process of all this, it tends to be that dads that grew up without dads have had this kind of thing impressed on them that dads are optional.
Do you feel that way, Tommy?
I think to a certain extent, because I had such a
How's your
decent
relationship with your in-laws?
good. My mother-in-law and I get along really well. Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away a few months ago, but it was pretty decent. Like let's put it this way. We've never had like a real screaming argument.
Here's the thing: is it also because I did a lot of reading during this stuff that the thing that tends to counterbalance that of like you feeling like maybe it might be subconscious. It was maybe with me of dads don't. This is not what we're supposed to do. It isn't what happened to me. That a good relationship with your in-laws kind of tends to counterbalance that. This feeling of family is bullshit. So that's what I got to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with me growing up, like I had a ton of siblings. I had two sisters and three stepsisters growing up. So I had a lot of people that took care of me. So there was a time where I thought that like it was not necessary to have a dad, but now I have three daughters, and I consistently I make a point of like my mom was never very affectionate with any of us. I make a point of when we're getting ready for school in the morning, I hug them and tell them I love them. Like
So
I
important. Yeah.
kiss them on the forehead before they leave every morning. Like before they go to bed every night, I tuck them in and read a story. And I'm consistently present, and I think that's one of the things that when my daughter wrote a story at school the other week, she wrote a story and it was like, write about your favorite person or write about somebody that you really look up to. She wrote it about me. And like, I was in tears. Like I was like reading it. I was like devastated. I'm like, oh my God, like, okay. And she's like, why are you so upset? And I'm like, I hate to make this about me, but like when I was 8, I didn't have someone like me around. And it really warms my heart that you do. Like that makes me feel great, and it makes me also feel really happy that I'm still around and I'm still here to be able to take care of you.
And you know what? That's the other difference between when I talked to you a year ago and talked to you now. And I had this like kind of like feeling of the bottom's coming out, and I'm not going to be with my kids anymore. And in the past year, going through the divorce and having to move and having to sell our old house. Yeah. It's things are different now. I'm not going to stop fucking showing up for my kids.
Yeah.
I talk to them every night. Yeah. I mean, and I know that, there's going to be, things are going to get better. Things have been getting better. I think that they're incredibly supportive of the fact that I'm doing something. My 11-year-old is the most fucking amazing artist for her age. It is incredible. They're really creative kids, and I like to think that for the 10 years I was there, like all the art classes we went to and the skateboarding classes and the this and the that, and the places they've traveled. Man, I remember bringing my oldest that went to New York City for the first time when she was like 7 years old. And I have pictures, she was just like walking around like she owned the fucking city. Like she knew. She knew right away. It was like the 7-year-old, like walking like nobody's fucking with me. Yeah.
She definitely got that from you.
There are a few things, yes.
Well, folks, we're down to the last couple minutes, so let's recap. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to immediately go to our nearest device and listen to the new single, Navigating Grief and Loss in a Pre-Apocalyptic Landscape. Right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. So apparently, it doesn't matter that we've written good music. Apparently, you need to stream it. We need to get the streams up so we can get a t-shirt deal because my kids got to eat.
Now, and we want to go back and listen to the classic Drowningman discography, which is on streaming services, right?
Except for Busy Signal, and we have some plans for that too. It's going to be getting a cassette re-release and by Lost at Sea Records, a new record label. So, and I would hope that at some point we get that back up on streaming. That's kind of been an issue that it's not.
And you've got new music coming and shows coming. We can't announce it yet, but it's coming.
Right. The one thing we can announce is, I mean, right now we have quite a few songs. We're kind of sifting through them right now. We are recording with Steve Evans in the beginning of March. We're going to be finishing up this other demo song, sending it out to labels, figuring out what the fuck we're going to do. And yeah, and then we're going to bring it to the people.
That's right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And Simon, I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us tonight. You know, I've been listening to your music for a very long time, and I'm just glad we got to talk to you. So thank you.
Hey, I appreciate it. You're good guys. I like your podcast. All the best.
There you have it, folks. Simon Brody. What an epic journey that was.
He's awesome. He's really a great guy.
We have been working on getting Simon on the show for almost a year.
Yeah. Yes, it's been a long time coming.
So I'm glad we finally got him. So many great stories, and Drowningman has put out so much good music, and the new song is killer.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see what else they do.
I'm really just in the part where, like, I think when he started discussing, like, yeah, that's not even fully done yet. Like, you know, when he was talking about that track, and it's like, yeah, this is kind of like we got it together. We have a basic idea, but you know, we want to kind of fine tune things and get real sharp. And it's like, damn, dude, that's your first draft. Like, fuck, that's really great. Like, it sounds on point.
I crack up whenever I mentally picture them drunk and just pouring out of the venue and getting kicked out, and a guy's wearing a football helmet and running into a street cab.
Every time there were so many times when we spoke before that we just kept kind of, hey, can you tell this story? And he would just go, like, yeah, I can, but all right. Like, and then he would, you know, reluctantly go through with it, but he's just such a great guest, a great vocalist, writes some of the catchiest, funniest titles out there. And on top of that, really just a nice dude, a good dad, and a really nice guy.
Yeah. So thank you, Simon, so much for coming on the show. That was excellent. And how are we doing, Tommy? What's up with you? Lay it on me.
Been home for the long weekend. Spent a lot of time. We did a new Costco puzzle.
I saw the Costco puzzle. Folks, Tommy purchased a Costco puzzle and put it together with his children.
While we ate food from Costco.
Your whole life is Costco.
No, I'm about to be Kirkland signed up. I'm going to get a contract and everything. Kirkland sheets, you name it, everything head to toe Kirkland. Gary Shaw posted a picture of his new jeans that he's buying from Kirkland.
The Kirkland jeans, I saw those and I instantly tagged you because I knew you would appreciate that.
I love it. They're just, everything's decent quality and it's very fairly priced. And it's that, you know me.
I do know you, Tommy.
I constantly think about ways that I can save money. Precisely. But yeah, we save.
So like, do you go about your day and it's like a recurring thought? How can I save money?
No, but I know I plan out any major purchases or anything that we're doing that would involve anything that's like under like $10, like any kind of major thing that we're doing. I make sure that we plan out really well and make informed choices about. So we come up with a dinner menu like a week.
So you don't constantly think about ways that you can save money, but whenever money is going to be spent, you are thinking about it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to make a new clip. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so we did that. Ellie got really excited about, she actually takes the same test that my students at my school take. It's called iReady. It's a diagnostic exam that gives them an approximate grade level for their math and reading. And she did really, really well on her math. She scored in the 99th percentile, and she is roughly on third grade math, like middle of third grade math. So I made a deal with her yesterday. I set up a third grade math test for her, and I taught her some of the skills downstairs on the whiteboard. She took the test, and if she scored a 90 or better, she would get an extra hour of iPad time. And she killed it. She got a 96 on it. And I was so proud of her. And that was a really nice feeling, because it's cool to see kids get excited about learning. Like, she really does have that, like, I'm excited about getting smarter, which is really cool.
That's got to be good, because I hated learning and did everything I could to avoid it. So if your kid is actually good at it and into it, it's got to be a load off your chest.
Oh, 100%. And it also, I think, comes down to a lot of the way we frame those things as, you know, this is what you do when you learn about things. It really becomes a habit. It's like you're curious about something, so you go look it up, you find out more about that. There might be some other questions that you have based on what you read, so then you go find some more information and kind of clear up all that stuff. But yeah, everything's going pretty well. I'm a little bummed I lost my good friend at work. I say lost. My good friend at work resigned because he took a principal position up in Brooklyn. So I'm going to be missing him dearly, because he was a person that I really looked up to, and I got a lot of help from, and we kind of worked really well together. And I was sad to see him go, but it's all for the better. Are you
getting that job or what?
I mean, my application's in. They haven't set up my interview and stuff yet, because they are.
How long ago did you put in the application?
Monday? What was that? January 10th or something like that. So like a week ago from today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been that long.
Oh, no. They've already made it very clear. When I spoke with my principal last week, she's like, we're going to do a series of things like where, you know, we want to really talk to you about like a performance task that's going to kind of give you a real clear idea of what this job is actually going to entail, which the bulk of my job would be observing other teachers and then meeting with them to give them feedback on things they need to improve, and then practicing those skills with them in the classroom. So saying like, hey, this is what I want you to do. Watch me do it in your classroom, or watch me do it outside of your classroom so that you can see what it looks like in my classroom. And then, you know, me going back and watching them a second time to say like, okay, let me remember what we talked about? Go do it now so I can see you improve on that skill. So I think that's really going to be, I like it. I like the idea of mentoring people. I like the idea of teaching people, but still at the same time, I'm near a classroom. I'm still working with students directly. I'm still working with staff directly. But I'm really interested to see what it looks like. But how are you doing?
Me, I am okay. There's nothing really going on. I'm happy. I'm doing things. I'm out with people. I'm helping other people. I'm doing it all, Tommy. So it's kind of a no news is good news thing right now. But on top of that, I feel good. So that's important. And remember the last episode, how I told that moment on Twitch where I won the game and the guy spectated it and all this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing happened this past weekend, but instead of a glorious win, there was a faceplant awful loss that everybody witnessed.
Wait a minute though, but does that mean you killed the main guy so that they could spectate?
No, I was on his team and I was the last one alive and I died in a really horrible and embarrassing fashion and everybody saw it.
Oh.
So, but I didn't get bummed out. You know why?
Why?
Balance, Tommy.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Yeah. Look,
because, I had a fantastic win and then I had a fantastic loss and eventually I'll have a fantastic win again. It's all good.
Ebb and flow.
It's all good.
Ebb and flow, brother. That's what it all is.
Exactly. So I feel good. Everything's good. I've been thinking about a random question for us to answer on the show. I don't know why. I just keep thinking of it, but you're going to go first.
Okay.
What do you do that annoys you the most?
So the thing that I do that annoys me the most about myself is I set up enormous amounts for me to accomplish, especially over the weekend, and I always fall short. And I know that I do that to myself on purpose because I want to try and get through as many things as I possibly can. But it's still also disappointing at the end of the weekend. And I look at the list and go, well, I didn't get to this and I didn't get to this and I didn't get to that. So I think I set my goals a little bit too lofty sometimes. And then I end up always not disappointed in myself. No, I think that's a good way to say it. No, I end up disappointed in myself. I wanted to take the Christmas lights down this weekend. And it was so darn cold. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be outside for more than 10 minutes at a time.
That's a good one. I do that same thing every weekend where I feel like if I don't hit this number of things, then I have failed in some way. But you have to take into consideration, you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have many considerations and many people to answer to, so to speak. And sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you're bummed out. There's a lot of factors at play. So I think if you at least do something, you're good. And look, your kids are alive. Your wife is there. Everybody's happy. So you got to, number one, you're always doing something. And number two, you got to be doing something, right?
Can I add something that I think I do really well now that I used to do poorly at?
Yes.
I used to not be able to buy like alcohol at all without over consuming. There was never, there was never let's just put it this way. If I bought a bottle of booze on Friday, by Sunday morning, it was gone. Like it was just, I would tear through it as fast as I could. And it's funny, for Christmas, I got a bottle of very nice whiskey from my mother-in-law, and I still haven't opened it.
Wow.
Yeah. Still sitting in the cabinet.
Look at you.
Still sitting in the cabinet with the wrapper on it and everything. So
the old days are certainly gone, huh?
I've gone over this before, but I just can't deal with the hangovers. It's just, it's 2-3 days of just being miserable. I can't stand that. I don't want to ever be a part of that ever again. But all right.
Do you know what I do that annoys me the most?
I was just going to ask you the question. What do you do that annoys you the most?
It used to be, all right, in the morning when I make coffee, I would open the coffee maker and pull out the filter with the old wet grinds in it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't hold it right. So I would drip coffee grinds and water from the coffee maker all the way across the kitchen floor to the trash can. And it was like really annoying to clean up, like really annoying. And I did this 3 or 4 times before I finally remembered to hold the coffee filter in a way that would make me not make a mess all over the floor. That used to be the most annoying.
Okay.
But I got that under control. So I have a new contestant now. I do this thing where it usually happens in the shower every morning where my brain will lock onto something and I can almost feel smoke coming out of my brain and I focus in hard on something and think about it a lot. It's usually like I'll think about someone I don't like and I'm like, and not a particular person. It always changes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'll think like, oh, if I see this person again, they're going to say this and I'm going to say that. And if they say this, I'll say that. Or I'll think about an old situation and be like, they said this, you shouldn't have said that, you should have done this. Or I'll just think about a random thing I have to do and be like, okay, this, that, and I can feel like smoke coming out of my ears because my brain is so hyper focused. But now now that I'm in a better and happier place, I'll step in the shower, I'll feel that starting, and I'll be like, oh, you're doing the shower thing. And then I just stop. I stop and I think about something else, or I just relax, or I just say, it's going to be a nice day. So that is probably the most annoying thing.
So you know that that's an extraordinarily common thing, right? There's actually there is a term for it. The French call it l'esprit d'escalier. It means the spirit of the staircase, meaning like after you've left somewhere while you're on your way out, you go, "Fuck, that's what I should have said." That you come up with the perfect comeback after the fact. It's that is a common occurrence, and I can't say that I don't do it as well when I've had an interaction with someone that has gone poorly. I do tend to fixate on like what I should have done or should have said in that moment. So I can totally empathize with you.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous, but I don't do it as much anymore now because I don't know, I'm in a better place now than I was even a couple months ago, so everything's good.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Folks, we're out of time for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and guess what? We're back next week with another brand new guest. Tommy, do you want to reveal who the guest is right now?
Never.
Thank you.
Never.
That was a test. That was a test to see, you know, sometimes sometimes on Twitter, or not sometimes, I've done it a couple times, I think on Twitter or Twitch, where I like kind of hint at who the guest is. That's something I'll continue to do because those are, you know, I think we reach the least amount of people on those platforms. So sometimes I'd like to slip in a little Easter egg.
Yeah. So if somebody is there and they're like, ooh, okay.
Exactly.
You get a little inside information.
Exactly. So that's it, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did. And we're back next week. Brand new guest, brand new show every single week. That's it. So thanks everybody for listening. And until next time.